Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere. Hello.
What up? What up? What up, Ink? What's going on with you, bro? How you feeling?
Man, interested in hearing this. How you going? Yeah, how you going to attack this thing here? You know what I mean? Because it's a bunch of different directions and there's so much coverage on it. Like, yeah.
And you know what? I actually thought more on it earlier today when I really thought, because you know this subject matter was introduced to us, you know, in school, and we were taught that it was a certain kind of way. So we're gonna get into all of that. I promise you. But you're right though. I had a different thought about it too. Let's check in with the fam right quick in the comments. Y'all here early, man. Excuse me. Of course, y'all been here early as always. Appreciate it. We got Chris G. Chris G. But I'm gonna put a gold star beside your name. This brother is always on code, man. Ready. And I appreciate that. See, this is the thing I appreciate, Dr. Inky, is they already know. Pen and pad. Everybody got their pen and pad game. They already know when I'm about to go live. Get your pen and your paper. Take notes, because we're not here to entertain y'all. This is just information. Please go do your own research, and then you find out for yourself, right? So I appreciate everybody saying they got their pen and pad, and I appreciate that, man.
Let me tell you this. Wait. Before we move away from Chris, because I want to also commend Chris and the people like him, because what that tells me as a speaker in the front of the room, like that's the person that's always early, that's always, you know, taking the notes, that's always, you know, they have questions that are that allows them to get deeper into the information. Those are the people that's going to turn around and then they're the teachers in their neighborhood. They're the leaders at their job, their school. So you know that he's somewhere enlightening his community, his circle. He's that beacon of light wherever he is.
And Chris, with that stamp of approval, you officially a disciple.
That was hot.
He's a disciple.
That was hot.
Disciples actually get the lessons from the master and go out and teach public. So shouts out to Chris, man. He definitely here on code. Who else here? OG said, let's get it. OG, I think OG out of New York. What's up to New York?
You got to salute the OG right there.
OG is a big supporter of everything Crum do, man. We got some other stuff coming y'all way pretty soon too. That matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and announce it tonight.
I'm about to say you might as well drop it right now. We here.
Yeah, wait till Crum gonna join us a little bit later in the show. I'm waiting to Crum join us. Make sure we got our T's and I's dotted and T's crossed before I release the information. But OG know what I'm talking about. Shout out to OG in New York. Information age in the building. Facebook. It's a good Facebook page, man. Like it's growing. It's getting there. It's getting to where it needs to be at. A lot of newbies in information age. So a lot of our kindergarten to second grade people in there. But they building though. They're definitely building over there. Who else we got in here? Robinson, peace and love, shalom. She said shalom. I'm saying shalom, shalom, shalaikum. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, shalaikum. Same difference. We got Hutchinson, Tracy Hutchinson, peace. We're saying peace back to everybody. And Crum started this whole what do you call it? The first responders. And I think it's excuse me.
Biggie call it spread love. It's the Brooklyn way.
Spread love. So I gotta come up with something, or we gotta come up with something when we go live. Maybe we do like the Divine 9 or something, the first 9 people. I don't know. But we'll come up with something that's real dope too.
It's hard to that Crum program.
I know. Crum be the first responders, man. He be killing it with that, man. This sister's always on point too. Always in the chat. What's up? We saying what's up to you back. Couple more real quick. That was me right there doing that. Willie, I am. What up, though? Peace. What's going on? Let's go. Finally caught live. Listen, I don't know how you get to live. If I'm not going, you can get going.
I was about to say the airwaves been flooded the last couple of weeks, man. This is the
Crum TV network, and I'm glad you caught the live. So I got it up here somewhere. Dang it, I don't have it. I'll pull up in a second, but there it is right here. This is actually the Crum TV network. So we go live across the board, and you see those guys in the left-hand corner right there. It's always a live happening somewhere on Crum TV. It's
All-Star Week. They said Crum TV All-Star Week.
Because we've been going live for the past like 4 or 5 days straight, like consecutively, dropping heat. Nothing but heat been coming on here, man. So it's crazy. I think I seen like one more here I want to shout out for. Dang it, I don't even see it no more. Everybody tapping in so quick. It was somebody from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I seen Tulsa, Oklahoma somewhere in here. Yeah, that Divine 9 do sound good, though.
Yeah, I like that Divine 9. That's all right.
Divine 9 do sound good. Anyway, shouts out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and everybody out of OKC. Shouts out to I learned something today about St. Louis and the archway of St. Louis. Did you know that what an archway is? Used to be a whole black community, and they tore down all the housing projects just to build an arch. I had no idea about that.
Yeah. I oddly enough, I heard about it when Nelly and them came out, because before them, I hadn't really heard about anything about St. Louis. And then I ain't gonna say I heard about that specific thing then, but that kind of made us all want to know you know, what's the Lou? What is that? You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
so, you know, start getting more into the because we typically from the New York, we a little arrogant, you know, arrogant mixed with ignorant. That's what makes that's it getting a little crazy sometimes with us New Yorkers. But we tend to think that all the Midwest is just white folks. Like we just feel like if you once you get past Chicago, there's no black folks till Cali. You know what I'm saying? So there was a you know, there was a lot of learning I needed to do, especially traveling, because I was doing like 4 or 5 cities a month at one point. Wow. And it was just crazy how many different places was just all us there. You know what I'm saying? So,
and
wow.
Two more trivia things before we get. I'm trying to get everybody time to get in here. 2 more trivia things. The first one is what is the only state in America with the largest African American population?
Wait,
the state.
Which state got the largest amount of black folks in it?
Yeah, which of the 48 colonies has the most African American? Because they're still colonies. Come on, states, colonies, whatever.
That's a tough one. Are we going by size?
It doesn't matter. Per capita, size of the state, whatever, however you want to slice and dice it. Which state has
that's a hell of a question. I don't know. I'm a tap.
Texas.
Texas. Wow.
Blew my mind.
I was thinking in my mind, Cali or Texas had to be it because but
I was thinking Chicago. I mean, not Chicago, Illinois. I had Illinois and I had Alabama, but it's actually Texas. And then lastly, which is a New York trivia question or a comment, a statement, whatever the case is what's the name prior to being called Bedford-Stuyvesant? What was the name of that area prior to it being called Bedford-Stuyvesant?
Oh, damn! It's named after the guy that owned it. It was a
brother.
Yeah. Man,
Weeksville.
There you go.
Weeksville.
Yeah.
And Weeksville was prior to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You still got Weeks as a name of streets throughout New York.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yep. I didn't know that. So, all right, family, without further ado, the topic of the hour that definitely blew my mind yesterday when I was researching and reading it. I'm like, what the hell?
Wait. Before we even go into the main subject.
You want to go to the background history of it?
No. You getting ready to go crazy. I'm getting ready to go in student mode and get my pen and paper out. But I got a trivia question for the audience. Family.
Shoot.
Did y'all know that a man named Dick Crumb was involved in a mass shooting just now in Mississippi?
like just now today,
bro. No, maybe 5-6 days right after they passed this bill. I swear, I just found out about it. Obviously, searching the web, looking to find stuff on HR. HB 1020 and SB 2889, the other bill that complements the 1020. And it popped up, and the news reporter was like, "Yes, Richard Crumb, some of his affectionate friends call him Dick, blah 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 blah, and he shot the man and blah blah blah." I said, "What the?" To stand out because the guy name is Crumb. I'm like, "What the fuck's going on right now?" So yeah, that was crazy. Oh, there was no question. I should have formatted that into a question. Anyway, yeah. So go look that up. But they always put a distraction in the news when there's some other shit going on. It's some, it's just, I don't know. Yeah.
This Joker done killed 6 people.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I couldn't.
I'm about to show it.
I said, what the hell?
I'm about to show us so we can go in reverse on the lesson. There you go, right here. This guy. This guy right here. Let's check it out and see what happened right quick, family. So we're gonna get to the main topic at hand, but Dr. Inky done trip us up with this right here now. 6 people are dead, another was wounded Friday in a series of shooting in Tate County, Mississippi, after a man it's so crazy how they make it sound.
Yeah, the wording.
Always. After a man opened fire on his ex-wife and potentially other family members, Tate County Sheriff. Oh, so he killed his wife or ex-wife and her family. The suspect, Richard Dow Crum, was arrested peacefully arrested. Now, there wasn't no tasering, it probably stopped by Wendy's or something on the way to the police station.
You know how they do.
Yeah, you know how they get out with their people. Take them out to eat and everything. And he's not the first. He's like the one of many. One of many homegrown terrorists in America. He's like one of, I don't know, I don't lost count. It started in Mississippi when they blew up the church with the children in there. Then what's his name? Dylan Roof or the other white guy came to South Carolina, went to the church and shot people. These people crazy.
It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, you heard?
These people crazy. These people crazy. They got That's him right here, though. Lance said deputies found several handguns and a shotgun in the suspect car. The suspect is being held in Tate County Jail, according to Lance. The victims have not been identified. Lance said a motive is unclear at this time. Damn.
Now, the one thing that surprised me is that they released his face so soon. They usually don't release the face that soon, but I guess that was
not for them. They don't. Not for them. Right. They don't. Now, had he been a other brother, they'd have found the most roughest, toughest picture they could have found to blast it there,
of course,
and show that he's a criminal and he got a traffic citation back in '96 and whatever they can dig up. Whatever they can dig up on the brother.
It had his parents' school records and all kind of shit on it.
All kind of stuff. But without delay, let's get into Jim Crow. What is it that you know about Jim Crow, brother? Historically.
Oh, man.
Just off the top of your dome.
Man, I think that Jim Crow, I mean, you got the Black Codes, you got Jim Crow, you got the, post-Civil War movements. You got fake Masonic bodies popping up down there, KKK. You got a lot of stuff going on in the South, but most.
Oh, now when you say fake Masonic orders in the
KKK,
South, what makes them?
I got to give them. I got it. Well, no, not. I wouldn't say that they're illegitimate, but they are definitely a pseudo Masonic body. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of these groups that may even be started by renegade Masons, or they might look at the structure of Masonry and then model their organization on it, is where a lot of people today that don't know any better, they have these, they just watch YouTube, and then anything that goes wrong, they go, oh, look at the Masons did that, look at the Masons, and so they don't realize that this stuff ain't got nothing to do with no Masons. In fact, if it was Masonry, they wouldn't need a KKK. They would just be out there as Masons. But the reason they out there as KKK is because none of that stuff could be, none of that stuff is represented, by you can't do none of that as a Mason.
So,
you know what I'm saying? So
what say ye about this guy right here, who was a Grand Wizard of KKK?
I don't put a lot of stock into Albert Pike. A lot of people.
You ever read the Mars of Dogma?
I got him sitting right. You know, I got him on my bed. You know what I'm saying? As reference material, but I'm talking about him as a person. I don't really put a lot of stock into because I kind of studied up on him, and you know, so his, you know, he's created a love-hate relationship, I feel like, within the body of Freemasons overall. You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird space, and then you get into, you know, wings up, wings down, and you know, it get crazy. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole different, you know, it's a whole bunch of
jurisdictional matters, though. You know what I'm saying? It just dealing with jurisdiction. If this is your first time ever hearing of Albert Pike was an American author, first of all. He's a writer. He's a poet, an orator, an editor, and a lawyer. So he knew jurisprudence, jurist and Confederate general, and he was a veteran, retired general, 3 stars. Okay, who served as Associate Justice of Arkansas Supreme Court in exile from 1864 to 1865. Of course, that was the end of the Civil War. He previously served as senior officer of Confederate States Army. Now, I'm going to talk about Albert Pike. I'm going to talk about a lot of individuals throughout the Civil War era, because this is going to lead us right into Jim Crow. We're going to also visit Black Christian codes and other ordinances and codes, jurisprudence that was produced that brought about what's called Jim Crow, right? Jim Crow didn't just, and we're going to talk about Mr. Jim Crow himself. Okay, it was a person. We're going to talk about a lot of the associations of blackface, but we're not going to start in the South with blackface. We're going to go to Spain, where blackface started.
Wait, before we go to Spain, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
And I've asked people this question, and so there's no right answer. It's just, you know, your elaboration, your perspective, kind of.
For sure.
The first bill goes back to George Washington, right? And so George Washington bill basically is a rule. I'm rough with it, you know what I'm saying? People can look it up and put it together the right way. But it was basically on how he put a rule in that became law on how rules and things become law. You know what I'm saying? So how much did that influence what's going on now? Because what I'm saying is people aren't really civically engaged, which is the root of all these issues. You know what I'm saying? Especially Black folks, Spanish folks, Latinos, our reservation people. We don't really participate and engage in the civics like that much. We do, led by the Democrats, unfortunately, raise hell afterwards. Right. Yeah, exactly. We whine and complain afterwards. But how much do you think that rule, that initial rule of how, you know, ideas become resolutions and bills, and how that process, how you feel that needs to be changed? Because that's going back to Washington. Like, you feel like that's a... Well,
when we talk about matters, to your question, we talk about matters like that, we have to keep civics with civics. And we talk about civics, of course, we're going to talk about different forms of government, right? The 48 colonies of North America are all Republican. It's a republic form of government. That's the allegiance. I'm 40 years old, so I remember saying it in school. That's the allegiance you took every day in school. It's an oath you took every day in school of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. And it says every state would be entitled to a Republican form of government. Now, the demo system, and that's what it's called, the demo system. And this is going to tie us right back into understanding 1860, 65, 64, after the Civil War, after the end of supposed slavery. And we're going to get into the first Black senator of Mississippi, who actually became the first Black president of the Confederacy. He finished out President Jefferson Davis' term in a minute. So it's not what they tell you it is. But anyway, these jurisdictional matters, George Washington was the president of the Continental Army. People make the mistake by saying that John Henson was the first Black president of America. No, he wasn't. Obama was the first black president of America. John Hanson was the first black president of the Continental Congress. Here's what we don't understand. There was no America. There was no United States. You had the Virginia Company, the Philadelphia Company, and they formulated what was called the Articles of Association. And these Articles of Association only covered 5 territories or 5 colonies. This is why we have to go back and relearn American history to understand and listen to their story, because they're going to tell you exactly how they formed their government. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't get it right until they went to Philadelphia. And they locked themselves inside of that. Matter of fact,
are you pro or anti? What is this thing? CRT. Are you pro or anti CRT?
Get Tim what that mean. Critical
race theory.
I'm not even sure what that means because I haven't looked into it.
Got you. It's a curriculum they're trying to institute in the schools and basically teach, as far as I'm concerned, a form of black inferiority in the school, and it's a whole thing. I don't even want to taint it for the audience. I'll let everybody pull it up and see what's good, but without knowing what it is, you're basically teaching against it as you elaborating and breaking shit down without even knowing. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I'm for it. I'm for it. I hope they do it to all school zones. Don't
listen to him. Listen. He wants them to teach all kind of pure madness in school so that parents can say, man, the hell with these schools.
It's not even that, brother. It's not even that. So maybe so-called black folk will pull their children from these institutions and do what Dr. Umar was trying to do before and open our own institutions up and teach our kids our curriculums and stop complaining about what they're doing. It's their schools. Of course, they don't teach that makes sense, which I promise you, which is going to go along with the entire idea of Jim Crow.
Facts.
Leave them folks alone. This is the classical house Negro and slave Negro mentality. Jim Crow was the house Negro saying, oh, master house burning down. Let's get some water and put it out. The field niggas was like, we don't want to get with them people. Leave them alone.
Hey, wait, I got a bar in my rhyme. I said, you have no idea. No, I said you a house nigga. I'm not even in the field. I'm free. So you have no idea what it means to be me. You know what I'm saying? You got the house nigga, the field nigga, then you got the free. You know what I'm saying? That don't even fit into that paradigm. That's a whole other level. You know what I'm saying?
That's fact. Just real quick. He said the Articles of Confederation, the first constitution of the 13 American states. They weren't states quite yet, but okay. Adopted in 1781 and replaced in 1789 by the Constitution of the United States. There are 3 constitutions. Bruce Lee, you're absolutely correct, but there are 3 constitutions. Okay, that first constitution, you're absolutely right. The second time that they reprised it is this meeting right here in this room right here. This is when they reprised it, because you have the Constitution, but then they went back and added articles to it, and then they reprised it again. I want to point out this. I don't know my thing doing this. Point out this brother sitting right here. You see him? He the only brother in the room. You see him?
Yeah.
He the only brother in the room. A lot of people say this is John Hanson. For those who say this, Prince Hall wasn't even in America yet. That's funny. But this brother right here is said to be John Hanson. And what's happening right here is the actual formulation of the Constitution when they reprise the Constitution. I just want to put that out there. It's on the back of a $2 bill. You don't see those in circulation too much because it's too much information on there. But going back to the civil rights, the Civil War era of 1860s, going back to this guy right here, Albert Pike, Supreme Court in exile. Even where'd it go? I couldn't find it. Right here. Even this flag right here tells a lot. And when people see this flag, it speaks a lot of ignorance of unstudied people. This right here is called the Galactic Cross. That's a cross turned sideways, people. It's not an X. So cross turned sideways. Look up the galactic cross. This actually comes from the Native Americans. It's their flag. We give Caucasians way too much credit. Look up the galactic cross, and you get a lot of information on that. He commanded the District of the Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. So that's why I brought him up, because we're talking about Mississippi again. A permanent member of the Freemasons, Pike served as Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, wings down. Northern Jurisdiction is wings up, from 1859 till 1891. So him being the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, I mean, he's a part of the Supreme Grand Lodge, not just the Grand Lodge. I mean, he was pretty high ranking in the Masonic order. He also wrote a book called The Morals of Dogma. The Morals of Dogma, if you guys will check that out. That's a nice book. Let's talk about these people right here. It says he also made several contacts among Native American tribes in the area. He specialized in claims on the behalf of the Native Americans against the federal government. So he was actually for the Native Americans. Don't sound too racy, do it. He was actually for Native Americans. All right, hold on. Let's address something. Anybody in the chat right now, just know I'll address you, and I come from. He said, "Nah, on that flag about states' rights to sovereignty. Sadly, that includes slavery." All right, sure enough. Just go look up the Galactic Cross, and then we'll have a conversation about it. All right, let's remove our feelings from it. All right, the flag has nothing to do with slavery. I know it implies the territories that dealt with slavery, but the flag itself, the Galactic Cross, has nothing to do with that. All right. And please, family, when we're up here learning, those who have your pens and your pads, just take notes. Do your own research. I'm not here to convince or persuade anybody. Maybe you guys are brand new for me being here, because I know it's mostly Crom's platform. My disciples on my platform already know how we get down. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you anything that's going to harm or hurt you, but just go do your own research. We have to remove our emotions from it. All right. And understand that it is a galactic cross. Now, what it got turned into or converted to, whole other situation. All right. But again, we're dealing with Albert Pike. He also made several contacts among Native American tribes in the area. He specialized in claims, meaning court claims, on behalf of Native Americans against the federal government. In 1852, he represented the Creek Nation before the Supreme Court in a claim regarding ceded tribal land. 1854, he advocated for Chickasaw and Chickasaw. This is Georgia. Although compensation later awarded in the tribes of 1856-57 was insignificant, these relationships were These relationships were to influence the course of the Civil War service, because you had a lot of Native Americans who fought on the side of the South, who were actually veterans of the Confederate States. And I promise you, the way that they tell history, the way that they express history, the Iroquois flag. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Somebody been studying. And this is what I'm saying. You just can't see something and the first thing that comes to your mind, you go with that thing unless you do your research and studying. It is an Iroquois flag. It is the Galactic Cross. It's the symbol on there. Now, the number of how the paint and the colors and everything has a story behind it too, right? These Europeans, they come over here and create this stuff, this flag system. All right, so thank you, Brother Michael Phoenix, for that ad. Real quick, he also began a campaign of newspapers, essays, urging support for the construction and transcontinental railroad extending from New Orleans to the Pacific coast. Moving to New Orleans in 1853, he preparing to pass the state bar in furtherance of his campaign. He was ultimately able to secure a charter from Louisiana state legislature for a project, following which he returned to Little Rock in 1857. He joined the anti-Catholic Knowing Party, it's crazy, at its founding, In the summer of 1854, he helped introduce the party in Arkansas. He attained a national convention in 1856, but walked out and it failed to adopt pro-slavery platform. In the lead up to the Civil War, Pike signed a pamphlet which proposed expelling all free African Americans from Arkansas. It said that the evil is the existence among us of a class of free colored person. So that's a little bit about Albert Pike. He was a lawyer, and he actually went to bat for Creek Nation, for Choctaw and Chickasaw. He actually went to court in their defense. So how racy was he? I know we look at Albert Pike and we think we understand the stories of who he was, what he represented. Give you guys a little bit of backdrop about Albert Pike. Now, what does Albert Pike got to do with anything, right? Because we're setting up the dialogue for you guys to understand certain legislation and laws that were passed against so-called Negroes in the South, but why that came into play. Why did white folk want to segregate themselves from Negroes? And while we're Negroes, also pro-segregation as well. Both white and black were pro-segregation. That's part we have to understand. Jim Crow came at the cusp. Jim Crow was saying, and I'll get into it in a second, Jim Crow was basically saying, white folks say, we want our own stuff. We want our own shit. We want our own stuff. We don't be bothered with them. Y'all stay on your side of the railroad tracks. We stay on the side of the railroad tracks. The integration conversation came about in the 1950s and 60s about integration. And unfortunately, once we integrated amongst white folks, that's when black problems started to happen. Dr. Claude Anderson speaks on that. Dr. Martin Luther King spoke on that at the end of his reign when he said he's afraid that he has integrated us into a burning house. We came into white territories during integration totally unarmed, not with guns, just totally unarmed and uneducated, and we forced our ways into their schools. Y'all remember seeing the pictures. We wanted to go to school with them. We wanted to go to their theaters, even though we had our own theaters, we had our own airports, we had our own bus lines. We was upset at the fact that we had to go through the back door. We was upset that we had to sit at the back of the bus. We had our own bus lines. We wanted so bad to as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we wanted so bad to shake our tail fellas in their clubs. We wanted to go to their schools. And that's the critical race theory again you brought up earlier, brother, is we can't get mad at the fact that we integrated ourselves into their system and now we complain about their system. The thing to do is to come out of their system.
You know what's crazy? Martin Luther King got an award that people don't really know about. He got an award from Planned Parenthood. In fact, the Planned Parenthood gave him the first ever Planned Parenthood award. Martin Luther King for that integration, his integration program. Yeah, Hillary Clinton got the award in 2009. That's why she came on TV and said she wanted to be the next Margaret Sanger.
Are you serious, bro?
Absolutely serious as a heart attack.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know they say true stranger than fiction.
Oh shit! I can't even spell it there. I can't get up there quick enough. Wow.
He got the first one
in 1966. Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Wow.
Yeah. So they made the whole award system for Martin Luther King and his work and put folks together.
Dr. King's award was presented on May 5th, 1966. The citation read, "This award is presented to Reverend Martin Luther King for his courageous resistance to bigotry and his lifelong dedication to advancement of social justice and human dignity." It wasn't for killing babies.
Planned Parenthood got it. They got their own program, so you got to know that if they recognize you, in fact, if they literally create an award system based on you, yeah, it can.
That is fucking crazy. All right, so let's talk. Let's get back to the task at hand. I'm gonna go back and forth from
Now you good.
The 1860s leading up to what's going on in 2023 Mississippi. Before we get to the new Jim Crow in Mississippi, I want to kind of brief everybody on the historicity, but dealing with truth though, not just barbershop talk, y'all. Like I don't do barbershop talk. I don't do he said, she said, I think that she said, that they said. I'm gonna show you the receipts. I'm gonna go to viable sources. I'm gonna do citations so you can see the actual information where it's coming from. Right there on the website. Go do your own research. I do have several books in here too. I can show you in books as well. If you guys want to see books, you just on Google searching. No, this is just a tool. This is a tool to make stuff go a little bit quicker and sufficient. But I definitely will show you the citation of the website to go look it for yourself. So talk about Jim Crow. Jim Crow laws. After the end of Reconstruction, what was reconstructed, y'all? You know, this when they start building Atlanta and stuff. Nope. Reconstruction was reconstruction.
That's when they pulled the political version of three Monty, or you know when they got the three tops with one ball and they and then you think the ball was over there. And
exactly what they did. First black senator of Mississippi. We're talking about Mississippi. I told y'all we're gonna talk about Mississippi. We're gonna talk about the history of Mississippi, so you guys can unclog your minds on how slavery went. All right. And as I said to the brother, whatever week that was, talking to him, slavery didn't go the way you think it went, brother. That's not how it went. That's not the way it went. It wasn't even like that at all. All right. You had a lot of us doing very well for ourselves. All right. Matter of fact, the majority was doing just like now. I make this statement again. 100 years from now, they're going to talk about the Negroes who were doing gang stuff and who always stayed in jail, who's always in bondage, always working for the man, always. Those were the slaves of society. Me, Inky, and the rest of y'all on here chilling in our cribs watching this live won't be mentioned in history because we're not slaves. So the same thing happened that way. A lot of our people don't get mentioned because for what? There's also a society of us that were called free people of color. Thousands, hundreds of thousands who were never slaves, never part of the system of slavery. In fact, you hop in a time machine and go back to that era, they would tell you that what are you talking about? Oh, you mean the people down south who working on the farms? Oh yeah, they do get mistreated sometimes. Yeah, unfortunately. But I got to go to work. See you later.
That's why I put that in my song. I said, "You a house nigga. I'm not even in the field. I'm free. You have no idea what it feel like to be me." You know what I'm saying? Because there's a whole history, and I'm Haitian. So, in fact, that brings me back around to Albert Pike, because Albert Pike gets credit for being the author of the Scottish Rite degrees. And the Scottish Rite degree system is not even Scottish, it's French. And it was written in Haiti. You know what I'm saying? Not by Albert Pike. It was written by a man named Stephen Marin. And then Stephen Marin got with a guy named Henry Franken, I want to say. Henry Franken. And he initiated Henry Franken in Jamaica, right across the water. And that's where you get the Franken manuscript, which is known as the big Masonic secret, or the secret of the Masonic degrees, or whatever the case may be, is that this guy, Stephen Marin, had spent a bunch of time with the quote unquote magical people in Haiti that's into the voodoo and the different mystical and magical schools, mystery schools, if you will. Maybe that works for the larger audience. But that's where where he was at, what he was studying when he came up with the 25 degrees that would later become, the Scottish, the Scottish Rite degrees. And then Pike studied those, and his interpretations then spread everywhere. And that's how we get, this monster that nobody wants to deal with, because people talk about this book, but nobody actually is reading
What
this
is that
book.
brother? Because it don't have a title on it.
This how books was in the old school. This is Morals and Dogma. This is one of the old original copies here. You know what I'm saying? I done worked mine to death though. The spine ain't no good. You know, I'm holding this thing together, but yeah, this, you know, so that's the, you know, it's Haitian history. You know what I'm saying? Like this, you know, it was free black folks floating around doing big things all over the place.
I'm gonna tell you this right here, brother. I've never heard of that. Now,
oh man, pull it up. The Franklin manuscript.
I got my pen and pad. No, I'm gonna go look it up because when you said that, I'm like, damn, my mind went to England. Of course, the Yorks and not out of Scotland, but the Scotland Yard is where the Scottish Rite degrees. I'm like, okay, so it's interesting. Interesting history, and I am writing it down too. By the way,
I'll spell his name out. Stephen. He's a Stephen with a PH in there. You know what I'm saying? I always think of that for the blood. You know,
what's his last name?
Morin. And that's another thing that's tricky. All of these guys, quote unquote white guys that did certain things, you know, it's M-O-O-R-E or M-O-R-I-N or somehow more is mixed into the name. But Stephen Morin, and then he passed the degrees on to a guy named Henry Franken, F-R-A-N-C-K-E-N. And then from there, you know, that's kind of where the high degrees for the Scottish Rite side developed. But he was a French guy who left. They had sent him as like an emissary down to Haiti before it was even named Haiti. It was I'm forgetting the name. I know my family gonna be like, how you gonna forget the name? I forgot the name.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I'm saying? But before it was Haiti, before they had the little river dividing up, you know, DR and Haiti and all that, clearly it was like, you know, that's what he studied at to get them degrees together. So good piece of trivia.
Wow. Hold on. I'm trying to pull this picture up right here. Here we go. So you have a group of brothers right here. All free men of color, 1870s. This is about 3 or 4 years after the Civil War ended, supposedly after the emancipation of slavery. And I would hope for the listening audience right now, we know that emancipate only means a transfer of property because that's how they saw Negroes, as property. In fact, Abraham Lincoln had considered them to be contrabands of war. But you had a lot of us doing great things around this time. Let's learn about Hiram rebels. We still in the state of Mississippi because we're going to go to Mississippi in a minute and talk about what's going on in 2023. Right now, we're in 1827, 1901. So Hiram Rebels was an American Republican politician, all black Republicans. The Republican Party, also referred to as GOP, is one of the two major contemporary political parties in the United States. Prior to the Republican Party, had what's called the Whig Party, W-H-I-G, aka the Whigamores. They go more again, right? It's one of the two major contemporary political parties in the United States. The GOP was founded in 1854 by anti-slavery activists who opposed Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed for them to potentially expand. Now, here's what I'm talking about. When I mentioned things like slavery wasn't how they taught y'all, and I know we get all excited and emotional about slavery because we were told that our people, everybody, all your skin folks and your kin folks now. So it went. You got a lot of us in prison right now. A lot of y'all ain't got people in prison at all. So it don't apply to y'all. Slavery don't apply to all of y'all just because y'all black folk. Okay. The Republican Party, also referred as GOP, was actually founded in 1854 by anti-slavery activists who opposed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. What was that? 1854 was a territorial organic act that created the territories of Kansas and Nebraska. It was drafted by Democratic Senator Stephen A. Douglas, passed by the 33rd United States Congress, and signed into law by President Franklin Pierce. All right. So this Kansas-Nebraska Act comes on the heels of what was later known as the Missouri Compromise. Okay, this Missouri Compromise is where a lot of our folks, and we have to be able to correct our people when they put out bad information. Misinformation is the worst thing we can do to one another, because everybody's in the age of learning and absorbing information, and they want to know stuff and they want to learn it. And out of your mouth, if they consider you to be a credible source, they're going to go back and repeat the same thing you said. So we have to be mindful of what we say. Make sure we take time to study. I feel like right now we're just in the era of people just want to be the first one to say the information without doing their due diligence. Okay. So anytime I speak, I'm not being arrogant. I'm not arrogating information. I just know what you're saying, that there's more to it. And I typically can tell what level of consciousness you are at based on by your conversation and the level of your scholarship and how you study, or if you study. Okay. And this is just free game. So if you ever invite me to your crib and you have a library of some books, I'm going to open all your books up and look through your books. I showed you my book collection. Every last one of my books I got pens and highlighters because I study. I don't just read it for retention. I study. And when I get to a word I don't understand, I don't know, I look it up. And it'll probably take me 2 weeks to get past the front page of a book because I want to know everything they're talking about. I don't just read it for retention. My point is this. The Missouri Compromise, which is also known as the 3/5 Compromise, is where Black folks say that they see us as 3/5 of a person. They think we less than animals. We ain't even full man yet. That was not what the hell that was.
Yeah, I was about to say I disagree with that.
The Missouri, it's okay. I mean, we can pull it up. But the Missouri.
No. If you're getting ready to say that it wasn't reflective that Black folks was 3/5 of a human, then I'm in agreement with you, because it had more to do with voting rights. And yeah, go ahead, drop it. Yeah.
And that's all it was, bro. They said for every 5, only count 3, because if they would have made Missouri a slave state, then the slave-holding territories would have had more vote in legislation in Congress. Okay, and going back to your first point, bro, we don't really study civics to understand how many representatives do we have in Congress. How many senators?
And wait, we got the damn, I'm mad I don't have this video clip, but we got the Democrats from the this election that just passed by. They were saying that they somebody got caught saying that uninformed voters a Democrat politician got caught saying that uninformed voters benefits the Democrats. A Democrat got caught saying that uninformed voters benefit the Democrats. And for y'all at home that's not able to link what I'm saying, the whole 3/5 compromise was based on uninformed voters. So once they went through their process and they went through the war, and when the bodies dropped and this and that and the smoke cleared, and they decided to come to the table and vote on everything, what the South planned on doing, the Democrats, the slave owners, the people who were pro-owning folks, right? The pro-human trafficking, what they said was, we're going to win in any election that they put to it, because we getting ready to force all of our slaves to go vote for whatever we tell them to vote for. So the North was like, oh, hell no. They getting ready to ruin the whole process of voting by having these people that haven't been allowed to read or write go in there and vote under threat, duress, and coercion based on you know what I'm saying? So they was like, look, we're not letting none of them slaves vote. They got to start reading and get educated. This ain't how this going to go down. And they was like, nope, we got to do it. Every person is a person. So just like y'all said, since y'all said it, all humans are equal, shit, everybody got to get a vote. So we going to have all these motherfuckers here vote. And they was like, no. And they went back and forth. And so that's where you get the 3/5 compromise, where they like, look, we'll accept 3 out of 5 of those votes, but we ain't going to let y'all get away with putting all them people that don't know what they voting for into the booth. And here we are in 2023. And we still have Democrats putting people that don't know who or what they voting for going on into the booth.
Because ain't shit changed. All right. And as he just pointed out, and I pointed out earlier, right? United States Constitution, we have 3 different constitutions. in 1789, as a brother pointed out earlier, right? Originally, comprising 7 articles, right? They redid it and they added on to it, and they added other articles to it, and they added other amendments that had to be amended in 1868. There's a couple of different constitutions that we have. All right. Now, dealing with the idea of slavery. Now we're about to talk about some jurisprudence. All right. For those of you who don't know what jurisprudence is, this is law. There's 3 areas that so-called black people suffer from the most. There's 3 areas that our people suffer from the most. It's political. We don't know politics. History. We don't know history. All right. And jurisprudence, which is law. But unfortunately, ignorance of the law is no excuse for anybody. It's your own fault. All right. So between the 3/5 compromise, right, or the Missouri Compromise, around or shortly after, you have another brother who thought after they did the Emancipation Proclamation that he can run up to Missouri and he would be free. All right. This is Dred Scott. And they told Dred Scott, unfortunately, this is Supreme Court, never been challenged, never been overturned, never been anything. I'm talking about Thurgood Marshall never overturned it. Who else? Johnny Cocker never overturned the rest of his soul. No attorney, Ben Crump. None of these civil Negroes have ever challenged this status that the Supreme Court said that if you have any African blood, descendable of Africa, you are not, nor will you ever be, a citizen of the United States. And a white man does not have to respect you.
Yeah, you don't have any rights that a white American man has to respect.
Now that's Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court is supreme law of the land, unfortunately. All right. We have 3 sets of laws as so-called black folk that we must abide by. Right? You ready for this? It's universal law, natural law, and canon law. Canon law is whatever you believe in, because you're endowed by your creator with certain inalienable rights. Whoever you decide created you, gave you certain rights that nobody can infringe upon. That was so important they put it into the Constitution by saying that you're endowed by your creator with certain inalienable rights. That means whatever you believe in, you can write a law, Moses, or canons. It's called canon law. The law, the creed of what you believe, you can follow that, and nobody can infringe upon that shit at all. Just like most of our Muslim brothers and sisters, most of our Jewish brothers and sisters. Yeah, I'm saying that because it's true. Okay, they have certain laws that within their community or jurisdiction that the United States can't infringe upon. They just can't do it. Universal law, knowing the law of the zodiacs. I don't mean what's your sign, Cancer, Capricorn, and Scorpio. I mean the actual law of the universe. You have natural law. And because of the vast majority of our people, the vast majority of our people are not abiding by these 3 laws I just talked about, they're considered to be outlaws. And because they don't know the law of the language, right? Which is legal.
Yeah, that's how you gauge the land.
What do they call it? Lexicon. Lexicon means law of a language.
Now wait, let me add this to the bill. This plays into nationality also, because when I first heard about the Dred Scott case, it was a rebel rouser, that was trying to use emotion and get us. Now look what they said about Dred Scott, and they saying that the people from out of the country don't have no rights and boo boo. I was like, whoa. After at first I was, yeah, hell yeah, the white man is the devil. Fuck that. I was, but as you grow, hopefully you continue to study, and you might look back at that and go, now wait a minute. Hold on now. Why would any country laws be applicable to somebody that's not a part of that country? Like it don't even got to be that crazy. It's like if you're a part of the American nation, these laws are binding for you. If you're not, then they may not be, which is the reason why some people could do all kinds of shit here, and the worst that can happen to them is they get deported because they can't be prosecuted and dealt with. Yeah.
Here's my question. Why aren't they deporting Negroes back to Africa since we're African Americans? Why aren't they sending us back to Africa?
Because And this is one of the things that, you know, unfortunately made me a black sheep over the years, you know what I'm saying, besides outing the chakra squad. But I'm like, hold on. In case y'all didn't realize it, people, y'all are American. Y'all might want to stop talking all that crazy shit, because if you're born here, even if your mama came from Jupiter and your daddy came from Pluto, you here. You are American. So you don't have a place to be deported to unless you here, unless you go and do the paperwork and get yourself resituated as a, you know, as one of them other places. But yeah, you're American.
I want to challenge that, because what you just stated was what you just stated is called naturalization. Yep. Naturalization Act was 1789 when they first implemented the Naturalization Act, meaning if you were born here, then but that doesn't apply. That doesn't necessarily apply when you're talking about nationality, right? By the way, y'all,
but the question was, why they not deporting people that's doing crimes nowadays? So in terms of that small pocket, the reason is because you're born. Yeah.
You're not from Africa, you're from here. So
yeah.
What happened? Okay. So what we got to realize is we have to. Matter of fact, because I don't like just I
had to get to work.
Pull it up. It's called juju. We just do a whole bunch of talking. I hate just do talking. I want to show y'all, because we black folks are visual people. We got to see what you're talking about. Show us your hand, Jesus. Oh, that is Jesus. Okay. We got to see what we're talking about, right? So let's go into a discipline called language, and we're going to apply a tool called etymology. The etymology, for those of y'all who don't know, gives us the source origin of the word. Meaning it's going to give us a nomenclature too, like the word black has a nomenclature of the 1600s or the 17th century. That means anything prior to the 17th century it wasn't even called black. The word Moor also has a nomenclature too. Oh, yeah, it does. So anything prior to that time frame, you can't be called a Moor. Ain't no ancient Moor, nothing. But we have to stop playing these word games. See, with me, the way my teacher taught us is once you learn the language, can't nobody lie to you no more. Like all the lies stop when you learn the language. So let's learn the language of this national.
Shout out to Abdullah. Shout out to Abdullah. That's the etymology god there, man. He goes crazy, man.
Let's go with nation first, because this is the root word of nationality. Nation. When somebody asks you your nationality, they ask you what nation you're from. It comes from the word NATO. The word NATO also comes from the word nat, born. Yeah, it also goes into the word tribe. I did a whole PowerPoint on this. Now I have to do it again, breaking down what's called an exonym and endonyms and autonyms. Now, an exonym is what a group outside of your group gives you. An endonym is what you give yourself, right? So we can't get caught up in all these other stuff, man. But the word nation or nationality, source origin, also comes from the word tribe. Kin.
For the people that don't understand what he's saying, that's like, I don't know, maybe Egypt is a good example. Like the Egyptians didn't call themselves Egyptian. That's what the Greco-Roman, they came and called them that. You know what I'm saying?
As far as exonyms, endonyms are concerned, you're absolutely right. Yeah. But when somebody say your nationality or what's your nationality, they're basically asking you, what tribe are you from? When you divide it and multiply it down to the very last compound. So don't think because they're throwing the word nationality in your face, it's some big, it's a very ambiguous word, because the English language itself is an ambiguous language. It's always developing to some other shit until you find out the source origin of it. What I mean by is nationality is a chair. Now, what Moors and other individuals, so-called scholars, have gone to do in the black community is make recliners and couches and other kind of chairs and high chairs and bar stools. But you go back to the source, it's a damn chair. So let's stop with that's why it's hard for me to talk to a lot of people, because they go to do this words of art shit and it aggravates me, because I understand what they know.
And words too. People don't realize when you get lost in words, a certain part of how you're taught to view language is gonna serve as a template to how you think. So this is the advantage that multilingual people have in some instances, because they're not locked into that space. And it creates a different dynamic when you understand the history of language. Like, a lot of people think English is the end all be all, but they don't realize that English only became the dominant language, I would say, less than 100 years ago. Before English, a lot of veterans too. If y'all got old uncles or grandparents that was in the veterans that was in the war, they probably speak German, because German was the #1 language around the globe, spoken, and so a lot of the thought was German thought. And that's what Western academia still runs on. That's why you have the quote unquote German scientists as the progenitors of modern science, even though we know that a lot of those ideas came from other places, So that's why I encourage people to study French, because French has been, since its inception, almost the largest, the #1 language spoken by brown and black people all over the globe. And it is going to take back over past even what they're doing. Even the Chinese language is going to surpass them, and it's going to surpass English, within the next 10 to 20 years. So that's something that you should invest in, because a lot of our history that you guys are really interested in reading, if you don't know German or French, you're not going to be able to get those books. I got a lot of books in here. It take me 6 months to read, because I got to try to, I'm damn near learning the language as I'm reading the book. But some of this stuff, they just don't, you just don't get in English. The learning here is limited by what's available for you to study. So what the brother's saying about language is super important. Go ahead, bro.
But I want to point out is there's still no excuse, family, because you like the brother just said, you can learn on your own, and nobody holding you back from understanding other languages. I just want to point out the fact people keep throwing up this nationality word, that the word itself comes from the word NATO or born or tribe or kin. They're just asking you, who are you akin to on the planet? That's it. That's it. That's it. The word nation is synonymous with the word state. That's why they say that the 48 states or the nation. Let's go back to the pledge. Remember this? I pledge allegiance. Let me finish. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One, even though it's 48, we're going to represent one nation. Each state is a nation. The word nation, the word state is the same word. There's no difference. For all accountability purposes, if you're from Georgia, which is your nation, or you from any state,
and it goes back to what you were saying with the canon law. Yeah, because that's still canon law. As a man thinketh, because we forget sometimes when we're talking about states that a state is not even a physical thing. A state's not a physical thing. A state is not the land. People think that the state is the land. No, the state is the agreements and the rules and the contracts that you've all bought into in that said piece of land, which is why the land can have multiple different names based on who you dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Because you got Native Americans that may still call different parts of this land by different names. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a state of mind, you know what I'm saying, which goes into canon law, which is why contract law is so important, because you opt into these contracts that you may not know you opted into. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Let's just express the entirety of the historicity of what you just said. And I'm glad you brought that up. I promise y'all, we've been in for an hour. I promise you, the last 45 minutes, we're gonna go in on Mississippi and Jim Crow. I promise you, we are gonna get to that. But the conversation is getting good.
Right? I think they needed all this, though. I think they needed all this. I don't think we wasted 1 minute. I think they needed all this.
Now, what were we just talking about?
States.
Okay,
and
states. Watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this. Now, let's have an understanding historically, and let me get to this whole point, bro. before you interject. You get this whole point, right?
Yeah.
When the Europeans who were from the island or peninsula of Europe, when they came to these shores in their colonies, they set up what was called manors. Everybody with me? Manors. This is a manor. It says a large country house with lands, plural. It's a semicolon. You got to stop reading when you see that, right? This is one of those English 101 thing. You see a comma, a semicolon, or anything, a punctuation mark, you have to stop, or at least pause or yield and reflect on what you just read before you continue. Otherwise, you'll miss something. You turn to what's called a run-on sentence. So it says a large country house with lands. Stop. The, THE, is what's called a definite article. So the word after the word the is going to be really important. This is how you read. The principal house of the land estate. Now, let's take this manor to be the state of Georgia. In the state of Georgia, right? Back up there because I want them to see this. In the state of Georgia, you have estates. In Illinois, you have estates. You have pseudo estates. You have real estates. Making sense? Don't worry. I'm going to carry you through this. You have the pseudo estates. Now, what's a pseudo estate? A pseudo estate is a building or a house, something that is movable. An estate is something that is a real estate, is something that is immovable, like the dirt, land. Now, the real estate that a realtor or a licensed professional sells you, they're not selling you the house. Yeah, because I bought my house. My house was $300 in Texas. No, man, the house was paid for when they bought the lumber from Home Depot. The house been paid for. But listen, when the development company built your housing complex, when they wrote that check or used their Amex card to go to Home Depot or the lumber yard to purchase the wood, the windows, the materials, the piping, all that stuff for the house is already paid for. In fact, your house probably didn't cost no more than a couple $100 material wise. Up in the building, Brother Crom in the building. What's up, Crom?
Peace and love, family. How are you, brothers?
All is well, man. I'm so glad you joined us. You joined us right in the nick of time. And I'm breaking down, and we haven't even got to nitty gritty yet. We haven't even got to nitty gritty yet. I'm explaining to the people about the Europeans and coming over here to America in real estate, and then I promise you, y'all, we got to jump back into the subject at hand of dealing with the Jim Crow laws. So, like I was saying, when the Europeans came to America and they began to set up these colonies, each colony had a charter, and under that charter outlined a certain demarcation. That's the reason Georgia looked the way it looks. Let me show y'all something because I like to be very, very, very visual. This is the reason these states look the way they look, y'all. I hate when they do this shit. All I want is a regular map. All right, be careful. All I want is a map. I just want a goddamn map. Shit. Take you all over the world for a map. There we go. This is the reason each state looked the way it looked. What I want y'all to realize is the dirt in the soil in South Carolina is the same dirt and soil in Georgia. Georgia and Alabama got the same dirt. If you remove these demarcation lines, they're called demarcation lines. In fact, if you go really high in an airplane, you look down, you won't see these lines at all. You see one big ass pile of dirt. You see one big pile of dirt. You've been taught through shul, going to hell, that these lines exist. So in your mind, When you driving from Atlanta to South Carolina and you see that little sign that says "Welcome to South Carolina," you don't even see a line. You see a sign that says it. Where's the line at? This is my point. Each state is a manor. Georgia manor, Carolina manor, Virginia has 2 manors. New York manor, Pennsylvania manor, Ohio manor. These are manors. Got it? And inside of each manor, there exists estates in each thing, each state. Inside of each state, there's an estate. And the real estate is the land. The land is the real estate. Now, who owns these real estates? It's under what's called feudal lordship. And the feudal lordship is set up by the governor of these states. And the governor dictates what happens to this estate. Y'all with me? They're like, what the fuck you talking about? I was going to give y'all a real understanding when we talk about the different territories.
Well, look, make it easier. Maybe think about it this way. This might help them out. Make it easier. You got to have a caretaker for your property, right? You got to have caretakers for the
trustee. Trustee. Thank you.
Trustee. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
That's it. Trustee. All right. So let's get back to this real quick. Let's get back to Mississippi real quick. So, who was building on the 3/5 compromise situation, which is during the 1787 United States Constitutional Convention over inclusion of slaves, right? In a state's total population. This count would determine the number of seats. See, they're not worried about no Negroes in the field. This is not what it's about, y'all. The system of slavery was really about employment. Now, had the slaves had a HR, it'll never happen. You heard of it. Didn't have HR. Okay.
Did anybody catch what he's saying? This guy he's teaching, but in a very
Well, that's what the fuck it was, bro. Like, had the slaves had an HR, it could have complained, it could have went to equal opportunity.
right.
Equal opportunity would have said, hey, master, you got to pay them a little bit more money. Stop beating them. You can't hit your fucking employees, right? Enslavement was a really, really shitty employment system, okay? And who would know about the employment system but one person that's celebrating history, February, more than anybody, well, not as lately, but back when I was growing up, is Harriet fucking Tubman. Who was what? Oh, man. Harriet Tubman was the Labor Department. Harriet Tubman was, Kanye said it right. Kanye was right. Y'all got mad at Kanye for telling y'all the truth because y'all are unlearned. Y'all don't know shit. Harriet Tubman was the labor force. She took, and let me get this right. Harriet Tubman never went past Virginia, y'all.
Woo!
All these pictures, she out in the woods with Negroes. She never came to Mississippi. She didn't came to Georgia. She didn't come to South Carolina. She didn't come to Alabama. She didn't come get nobody out of the South and take them back up north. And you know who else skipped the South while we at it? What's his name? The Jamaican cat, Marcus Garvey.
See, you
went right to fucking New York, where the Islanders were. To this day, New York got the biggest population of Islanders. True. He never came to Alabama. That's why W.E. Du Bois didn't like his ass. But anyway, go back to this right here. Harriet Tubman was the Department of Labor. And the reason I'm bringing it up, y'all, is because slavery did not go the way that they teach y'all in school. It didn't go that way. And I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of information to share with you. Go ahead, bro.
No. I'm sorry. Keep going, please. I'm sorry. I'm not ready.
While we're here, let me add something. Let me add something to this labor thing, because a large part of that labor was the sugar business, and a large part of going back to Haiti again. You know, I'll be bringing it back to Haiti, but a large part of the Haitian Revolution was when you had the quote unquote the Irish and some of the other populations that were being worked in that time period, right? For argument's sake, they realized in the sugar fields that Black people lasted at least 2 to 3 times as long as anybody else did. And the sugar business was the most brutal. So when I say lasted, I mean that if you put a European in the sugar fields, they would die inside of 3 years. Period. These are actual statistics. And this don't matter whether you put a kid out there, whether you put a man in his prime, 20 years old, or you put an old man, they wasn't going to last 3 years out there. Black folks didn't fare much better, but they fared better than everybody else. They lasted on average 6 to 9 years, roughly around 7, 8 years was how long they lasted. And when you look at the statistics that comes later, this was super interesting for me. I'll share this with the family. This right here is the diabetes chart. This is the diabetes timeline. And if you look, the timeline doesn't really get off the ground until the 1860s. So in the 1860s is when the diabetes timeline begins to start ticking up. And in case y'all don't know what happened in the 1860s, we're going to defer back to M.O.I. to finish breaking down this whole free, unfree, Jim Crow.
Hold on. Now I'm about to put on my certified dietitian nutrition hat for a second. Are you saying that black folks got the sugar from sugar cane?
I'm saying that there's an interesting coincidence. Look, there's an interesting coincidence that we're looking at right there on the screen. That's the timeline when the diabetes starts to go up.
Yeah, but diabetes come from meat consumption, brother, not sugar.
I would say that there's an effect of meat consumption on diabetes, but there's also an effect on sugar that's not attached to pigment and fiber. So that's where the large confusion comes with sugar. Your body metabolizes sugar differently based on what it's attached to. So when you eat the natural foods, in between the pigments and the fiber is where you got all the sugar at. When you have the processed food, the pigment and the fiber is removed and you're just getting, adulterated sugar. So yeah, so in that case,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to get on Harriet Tubman's head. Let me he's so funny. Why is M.O.I. so excited? But but yeah, I wanted to show this real quick from my the Facebook page, Crumb TV. It got 26,000 views. Check it out, family.
You'd like to use the words Uncle Tom a lot, only when it fits. Do you know who Uncle Tom really was? He was that dumb nigga who used to thank Simon Legree for whipping him. Wrong. That's another one of those lies about our people that has been accepted as truth. Who was he then? Superfly in disguise? In real life, Uncle Tom was a slave named Josiah Henson, who escaped and walked all the way from Kentucky to Canada with his wife and children. And there he started the first manual training school for our people. How you knew that? I read. You heard of the Underground Railroad? Sure. Well, Josiah Henson helped 100 slaves escape up north even before there was an Underground Railroad. He was a brave man, a great leader.
The system is rigged against us.
My grandfather built this country.
Let's hear it, please. Let's hear it, please.
And the people are going to have to attack the pigs.
You'd like to use the words Uncle Tom a lot, only when it fits.
It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, you heard?
Yeah, family. Y'all better start with this Harriet Tubman and get some real history. Oh, you Uncle Tom. They got you thinking old girl is the hero. You know what? I know it's March, but happy Black History Month, family. Y'all gonna get this history today. I'm sorry, I yield the floor.
Not so Black history. Hold on. I'm gonna give him one more.
Uh-oh.
And then we're gonna move the fuck on. Hold on. Watch this. And I want y'all to challenge me on this shit. Offline. Not y'all, but anybody. Let me teach y'all something. He owned Candyland, not him.
Woo!
He He owned Candyland, not him. When his daddy died, he gave it to him. He was a little boy. He owned Candyland. This is why. Watch this now. Watch this. If I can find the scene right quick. They ain't gonna find this. They ain't gonna show me the scene right quick. But
I think that we all seen it enough that if you tell us the scene, we're gonna know exactly what you're talking about.
The scene was when he was sitting in that room and he had that cognac glass in his hand, chilling with his legs crossed.
Come on.
And he had to put Leonardo DiCaprio up on game. What was happening?
Oh!
Did y'all notice how he went from yes sir, and then he got in the room. He like, these niggas playing you, talking straight as hell. These niggas playing you. They playing the fuck out of you. He had to put Leonardo DiCaprio up on game. What was happening to him? Dutch Schultz, whatever his name is, this guy was running game on him, and this right after the scene, right here, after it happened, he about to pump old boy in the head, but he had to put up on game. The point is, do the research. He owned the plantation. He owned what's called Candyland, Sugarland, Candyland. He owned Candyland, not the white boy. He owned it. That was it. That was it. That was it. Wow. I know. Now we threw the scroll on y'all like history. Y'all in the words of Noble Drew Ali, if I could just get y'all to think for you, if you get you to think, you'll save yourself.
Save yourselves. That's right.
All right, so let's get back to this real quick because we got a whole lot of time now. We hit on the three-fifths compromise. The point is there was a whole lot of different laws and jurisdictions and rules being put on so-called Negroes before we get to Jim Crow. What was another one besides the Slave Fugitive Act? I gotta get my mic fixed. The Slave
M.O.I. M.O.I. is 624. God, it's 624. You heard?
Yeah. I'm good on time.
You sure?
Yeah, I got a hold of the hour.
Okay. All right.
Slave Fugitive Act. This is another one.
Shall I read it?
Yeah.
Question. What are the 3 facts about the Fugitive Slave Act? Answer. According to Ohio History Central, the fugitive slave law clearly favored the slaveholders. Anyone caught hiding or assisting freedom seekers faced stiff penalties. Under United States Marshals, United States Marshals had to actively seek freedom seekers and return them to their holders. If a marshal refused, the federal government would fine the officer $1,000.
That's what the movie Django was about. He was a fucking bounty hunter.
Oh.
If I had more time to talk to y'all, I'll walk y'all through other movies so you can understand what's happening with Jim Crow in Mississippi today. They put it out for y'all to get it. Y'all just don't. Y'all be so entertained. Look at you. Y'all don't think this is what's going on, and you don't know history. All right, so you have the Slave Fugitive Act. What the brother said earlier, you have was called the Christian Black Codes. Christian Black Codes implemented in 1724 in Louisiana, also known as Code Noir. Code Noir. And why did they implement Code Noir in 1724 and then the Southern Black Codes in 1856, which mirrored Code Noir? Because Code Noir was when they brought, watch this, watch the history. The French merchants got Africans from the Congo. They were called Shango worshipers. But the French on accent called their black magic juju. When they brought them out of the Congo into what today is Haiti, they started calling it voodoo. And a lot of the slavers who had sugarcane plantations in Haiti, they also had sugarcane plantations in Louisiana. So they interchanged these so-called African juju worshipers and they brought them into Louisiana. The problem was white merchants began to sleep with these beautiful Africans and to begin to produce an offspring called mulattoes. And these mulattoes was considered to be free people of color. They were not slaves. In fact, the biggest plantation slave owner was in Louisiana by a black woman.
That's where you get the Creole. Yeah.
The Creoles. And because these free Negroes thought they were about half white, they had to enforce what was called Code Noir, also known as the Black Codes. Now,
that story bring us back to the top, because Stephen Marin was a part of that movement of bringing these blacks into Haiti, which is the reason why he stayed down there as a missionary to study the juju and develop the high degrees, which became the Scottish Rite.
Come on now. Everything we're saying in tangent. This is the Code Noir. Code Noir, signed by King Louis, the 14th in 1685, was a set of laws that govern and practice of slavery in the French colonies. That'll be Louisiana and Alabama also. All right. Okay, y'all. That's Alabama and Louisiana. Alabama, Louisiana were the same people. They're the same folks, the same situations. Mardi Gras started in Alabama, not Louisiana. Got it? Saints Eve, all that shit started in Alabama. Around the time when many European governments in North America were defining the legal status of enslaved people. Now that's Code Noir. Now the Christian Black codes, however, a little bit different. Go ahead, brother. Please.
Before you go to the Christian Black codes, I wanted to elaborate on Code Noir just a little bit more. I didn't mean to put it on the screen that early. My apologies, gentlemen. But I had made a PowerPoint about Halloween, and I go into Code Noir. So we know that this is the symbol for the New Orleans Saints. Well, it's also a symbol for Code Noir. The fugitive slave who has been, let me just get this out the way. The fugitive slave who has been on the run for 1 month from the day his master reported him to the police shall have his ears cut off and shall be branded with the fleur de lis on the shoulder. That's the thing. I know people got that tattoo on their shoulder, and that's the sign. Anyway, Code Noir. If he commits the same infraction for another month, again counting from the day he is reported, he shall have his hamstring cut and be branded with a fleur de lis on the other shoulder. The third time he shall be put to death. This is Article 38 of the Louisiana Black Codes, or the Code Noir. And here's a picture. You see his hamstring cut, his ears cut off, and he got his tattoo looking like a frat brother. And look at the guy who got the fire. Look what's on the fire, and that's a hot iron with the code, the fleur de lis, because this is all under Code Noir. I yield the floor.
Hey, hold on. What's that? Hold on, because you done opened up a damn portal now. What's the name of the Come on, M.O.I, because you look like you almost could have been a football player in another life. What's the thing that they do before they take the players? They check them out where? What's the thing called where they check out the football players?
Oh yeah.
What do you mean?
What is that called? Where the football players are getting ready to come to college?
They get measured and weighed.
They get measured and checked, and they got to do the 40 and
see how far you can run and how high you can jump and how good you can pick cotton.
Hold on. Wait, we got to take this to the chat, man. Chat room. Wrong countdown. Where the damn countdown at chat? Because the chat room got to give us the answer to this. The combine. There you go. The combine. So they actually trace, and it's funny you brung that up. They trace the athleticism of Black people. So here's the thing, and this is what I was trying to say the other day. I say it a lot, but perspective. You don't know that when you looking at something, you could be looking at something as a Black person, and you can grab a hold of something that you want to be proud of and go, oh yeah, that's amazing because the Black, that's this and that, and we dominate in the sports and blah blah blah. And then you hear white folks echo the same sentiment. And so you think that they in agreement with you because y'all both saying the same thing. And that's actually not what's happening. when you're saying you're proud and amazing, you proud and amazing because they giving you that fat check to run, jump, and dance. However, what they're saying is we did an amazing job creating these super athletes during slavery, because this is where they was out there getting worked and passed on these genes, because we taking the biggest ones and having them. There you go. Now, here you go. Here we go. We're taking the biggest ones and we getting that one to mate with the other one. And, so they're producing these bigger, stronger, faster. And so
I
now,
got a problem with that, man.
Put that picture back up there before M.O.I go in, because it's hard to deal with this. But this,
No, I'm not talking about that, man. Okay, so I'm just gonna call a point of order, man. Confusion in the craft. Confusion in the craft.
Yeah.
Y'all, we have to stop giving these Europeans so much freaking credit. Now they fucking master geneticists. They came over here and they come from a monarchy, and all of a sudden they know about Republican. And stop giving them so much credit. Do y'all know how big the original Native Americans were? They were huge. They didn't come out of these super Negroes come out of a fucking laboratory on a plantation.
I think there's a difference though between being naturally big and being athletic though. There's a difference between the amount of fast twitch muscle and slow twitch muscle and coordination, and you got to learn through practice and repetition, and it does pass genetics wise. That's the whole idea of epigenetics.
What I'm saying is we know genetically that black folk got a longer Achilles tendons. We're faster across the planet. Whether we're in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, whether we're in Asia, wherever
Jamaica
we are.
and Kenya specifically. Yeah, Jamaica and Kenya
stronger,
specifically.
like everywhere. So to give these squatters credit,
yeah, but see, look, your argument can be taken in two directions, though. Look, wait, your argument can be taken in two directions because we can't let our hatred of them. Okay, go ahead. Let
me just fill my cup right quick. Because this happens a lot when we tell the story of white folks in America and slave. Black people get into this fallacy of romanticizing how deep and how smart white folks was. They took the two biggest niggas and they bred them, and what they got to do with the baby coming out big? Now, chances are the baby come out big, but what about the great grandma? She was smart. Like they were not that smart, y'all. We were already big anyway over here. Not of interest. The Africans, just including us. Go ahead, brother, please.
I did 2 PowerPoints, one called Land of the Giants and the other, of course, Land of the Giants Part 2. And I was talking about how America was the land of the giants. And I first built the point by saying, if you have more oxygen, things get bigger. And the oxygen... Now, I'm going to be honest. I believe oxygen also comes from the ocean, but I don't want to get too far off, H2O. But back in the day, the trees were giant. And because the trees were giant, it gave off more oxygen. If you go look in the movie Avatar, it's not that they had a different gas. They just had a pure form of oxygen because the movie was based on the great tree, and the tree was giving out a bunch of oxygen. Now, if you look in indigenous culture, I'm going, I think with this one, I had to do the part 2. But yeah, if you look at the indigenous lore, it is said that the ancestors in America, respectfully everywhere else, I'm not taking nothing away for anywhere else, but places like Patagonia, which is South America, there's more than one America family, bear with me. Was called the Land of the Giants, and these are depictions from Europeans. This is before, respectfully, not saying anything against Dr. Inky, because I agree with him. But, this is before the quote unquote breeding programs. They depicted the ancestors as, Goliaths.
Monolithic.
There you go.
Monolithic. So
here's a dark-skinned brother.
My point is this right here, though, brother. As far as the breeding goes, they didn't start the breeding process until 1808, after they outlawed importation of Negroes. And it only went on for about 45 years. So in 45 years, and look it up, please challenge this shit. In 45 years, that's not enough time to create this genetic masterful race of just huge Negroes in 45 years. We were already big anyway.
Let-
We were already big. That's why they
Let me
scared
just-
of big Negroes to this day. They scared of big Negroes. So they didn't create a breed of Negroes by breeding them and, they took the big slave and the other big slave. And no, they did this shit because they couldn't import any more slaves after 1808. So they had to come up with an idea to create more slaves. That was the only thing that happened. And there's no proof on the World Wide Web that you can find that they did that shit. This is a wives' tale. We got to cut that shit out. I'm done.
Let me just add two pieces in. So with the trees and everything being bigger before, it did have something to do with oxygen, but it had more to do with hydrogen than the oxygen. So with hydrogen, you have regular hydrogen, then you have deuterium and tritium. C3 and C4 plants are all rich in deuterium. People from the cold regions, which is why there's different types of research out there on deuterium right now. You got some people say that deuterium is amazing, and some people say that deuterium is no good. It can lead to autoimmune dysfunction or cancer. The reason being is because Europeans that lived in cold climates, they weren't exposed to deuterium. So the way their minerals complex is in their electron transport chain, their ATPase pump is more vulnerable to the larger size molecules. So it can cause problems there. But in the older times, the water was more rich. People ate more C3, C4 plants. So people grew more. Evergreen trees are evergreen, and they so big because they have a large concentration of, they got a large concentration of transition elements. The transition elements in the middle of the chart, the thing that makes them special is that the transition elements all store hydrogen gas, with the platinum group metals being the ones that store the most hydrogen gas, which is one of the reasons why sea moss is so good, because algae helps to store more hydrogen. But storing more hydrogen is larger. So when the mitochondria work more efficiently, you get more fast twitch muscle. The more fast twitch muscle, the more anabolic the body is, the more you get a production of, pigments. And it's a whole cascade of events. That's why our lungs are a lot smaller than the other nations, because we was able to get energy from other places. But so I'm not saying that we weren't big already. I'm just saying that you got to work out a big body in order to make it athletic. It's a difference between just being big. Like in the hood, we say big for nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of guys that we know from the neighborhood that was just big for nothing, big, sloppy, and clumsy. That clumsy bigness kind of stayed along with the quote unquote giants, because you got to be trained to practice to hone your natural potential. And so epigenetics, which is a science based on genetics, is actually how in a small period, it don't even take 45 years. It don't need, because 45 years would be equivalent to about 3 generations. It won't even take that long. What you could do right now will actually play a role in your children's life based on epigenetics, because you could literally actively change your genetic expression in one lifetime. So depending on what they was feeding them folks and how they was breeding them and the workload, you know what I'm saying? Which is why, they got the tattoo for the runaway slaves, just so happened to be the football team. You know what I'm saying? The same shit they put on football players, because
you can't make it up.
That's where, and I'm not saying it's correct or not.
Wait a minute. Slow down.
Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, you heard?
Slow down.
Can I show this real quick? I just wanted to add this because I'm just excited, and I love the conversation. And to whom it may concern, I do agree with both of you. But just any excuse to go through the information. Smithsonian admits to destruction of thousands. Anybody know how much thousands is? Of giant human skeletons. This is in America, y'all. The American Smithsonian, not in Egypt. No disrespect to Egypt. But we gotta, well, where the Giants at now, Crumb? Well, this is from American History. Smithsonian.
They're on the basketball court playing ball.
Wait, you know what that speaks to, right?
Come on.
That speaks to the cannibalization of our ancestors, because we typically don't pay attention. Like when we hear fossil fuel, we forget that we had the long-term, like the indigenous people, they had certain rituals of burying their people together. And so you got these burial, like all of your ancient burial from, I would say, from thousands of years ago, your ancestors' ancient burial sites were those is the places that is now oil.
Damn.
Now, come on. JP Morgan,
yeah, think about it. Animals, listen, animals didn't bury themselves. JP Morgan already
dispelled that shit. Oil don't come from bones, man.
Right, but you got to think, one bone or two bones or the bones of an animal or two is not enough to make a deposit of oil. You got to have a bunch of animals buried in the same place in order for those bones to liquefy to enough that you got a geyser of oil to come out of there. That ain't no 1, 2, or even 10 animals. That's a tribe.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. They already dispelled that myth already. That oil does not come from dinosaur bones. Okay, bones.
We didn't say dinosaur. I didn't call your ancestors dinosaurs.
Whatever kind of bones you're talking about, oil
I did.
does not come from bones. All right, it's a carbon deposit of carbon material in the earth. All right, not bones. That's a myth that they created.
Okay,
That's
let me ask you.
The oil is the Earth's blood.
What is the thing that's holding your bones? Wait, hold on. The bones are made out of, listen, we just got to make this simple for the people to understand. The basis of life is what? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Your bones are protein, right? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. That's what protein, the basis of a protein, is made out of. But guess what? Nitrogen returns to the atmosphere, oxygen returns to the atmosphere, and hydrogen is so light that if it's not bound to another element, it literally leaves the atmosphere. So when you put bones in the ground, they can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, but science tells you that carbon is the only thing that remains because everything else is gas, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. The only thing that's going to be left from your physical frame is going to be the carbon deposits.
Well said.
Nothing, because we get too far off track. We ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, well, we are getting off track.
Whole other topic, another time, whatever the case is. But my point was, I like when Dr. Inky get talking science, y'all notice I shut the fuck up.
Me too.
I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. I'm a historian. I become a master student when we talk science, right?
Me too.
Now, on some historical shit, I will challenge.
So it's time for me to become back to master student and let M.O.I. get back into his bag. Get back to the history, because that's what we're here for. We need to get to the Mississippi.
Start breaking down the goddamn compounds. I'm like, shit, I need to write. Slow down, brother. I need to write. This turns into that. So the brother is brilliant in his own right when it comes to science. Like, for real. But we have to push forward, family, and get to the subject at hand, which is Mississippi.
Come on.
We left off on dealing with the GOP and dealing with the Republican Party. We all understand that so-called Negroes were all Republicans coming out of what was called the Whigamores, all right? The demos system, a Democratic Party with mostly conservative white folks or just land-owning, slave-owning white folks, all right? We understand that, right? This is the Whig Party I talked about earlier. This is the Whig Party, so right? If you never heard of the Whig Party, then write down the Whig Party. If you want to go look it up, look it up. That's cool. Now, Jim Crow law, what I was attempting to do is show you guys several different laws and statutes and ordinances that were put against the so-called newly freed, emancipated Negroes. Understanding that the word, and we just left Black History Month, so this should have been talked about maybe a week ago, but we're here now. Because this article about Mississippi came out February 27th, ironically, 2 days before Black History ended. But there were several laws, statutes, and
Ooh, I just caught that.
Right. Matter of fact, one day before ended. So it was
damn, Gina.
It was purposely kept hidden from the public because you can't upset the Negroes during the Negro month, right? But now it's leaking out. So certain ordinances, statutes, and laws. Lawful and legal are not the same thing. That's why slavery was always argued to be unlawful and illegal. Two different arguments. The policy surrounding slavery was just employment. That's it. The policy surrounding slavery was a matter of employment. You don't believe me? Let's look it up right quick. The reason, upcoming celebration, by the way, coming up, Juneteenth coming up. This is going to be an important celebration. I think it was called, oh shit. Can't think of the name of it right now. Hold on. What article was read during Juneteenth? I think it's called, man. I forgot. Oh, I forgot the name of the article it was read. I think it's General Order number 13. I think it was General Order. What General Order was read during Juneteenth? Number 3. General Order number 3. Now, I stand on this, and I continue to stand on my case, and I present it to anybody who want to go against it, that the idea of enslaved people, our so-called ancestors, was a argument of workforce development, improper treatment of individuals. There was no HR, there was no EO office to go to, complain to. Here's what General Order number 3 is, and this was exactly verbatim what was read to the Negroes in 1865 on June 19th in Galveston, Texas. That gives us a celebration of Juneteenth. Listen, remember, this is English, so we have to apply the English rule or lexicon. We have to stop where there's a period, where there's a comma, a punctuation mark. We have to stop and reflect. If the word THE, which is the or the, is before it, it's a definite article. That means the next word after the word the is very important. Let's pay attention. The definite article. People, what people, are informed that accordance with the proclamation, a proclamation is just a public announcement made by a government official. Doesn't make it legal at all. Doesn't make it lawfully binding. In fact, the Emancipation Proclamation that Lincoln read, for whatever purpose, didn't even affect the South, because Lincoln was not the president of the South. Sorry. He was the president of the Union. So whatever he said, the South didn't fuck no way, because it don't apply to us. We have our own president. They had their own president and their own currency and their own everything. So fuck what Lincoln talking about. So we have to understand the rules of engagement, the rules of war, what really happened, and why Lincoln was so upset. See, Lincoln was being paid still, Washington, D.C., not him directly, by the Virginia Company, the Queen, Europeans, the colonists, because they haven't expanded out west yet. They only had a couple colonies still. Not all 48 were developed yet. They were still developing. Remember, Nebraska and Missouri had not yet been developed yet. They were getting there. The Western expansion was called Manifest Destiny, haven't happened yet. So they're still trying to develop these colonies. Lincoln was getting
wild west
from Europe, because Europe had already entered what was called the industrial age, textile. They began to ship textile companies to America, mostly up north. Now, the northern Union states wanted to bring the South into the fold of giving them the raw material. They'll do the textiling and ship it back over to Europe for profit. The South like, hell no. We don't need a middleman. We just ship it out ourselves. At the time, at the highest peak, the South was called King Cotton. This is Louisiana, this is Mississippi, this is Alabama, this is Georgia and South Carolina. The number one cash product was cotton. Second was rice, then tobacco. Tobacco was old school. That was like the 1700s. Tobacco, that's old. Rice had outdid tobacco by a long shot, right? So these were the export units. They were shipping it out of South Carolina, out of Savannah, Georgia, out of the Gulf of Mississippi, out of Louisiana, out of Mobile, Alabama. These are all the exports. What Lincoln decided to do was to block that shit off. You might have heard about it. It's called the Ironclad Wars. This is the Monitor and the Merrimack. Yep. He decided to send fucking ships down there and blow their shit up. So they can't export it. They don't want to do business with us, then fuck them.
Shout out to the 757 Virginia, Norfolk,
For
Portsmouth,
sure.
Virginia Beach, stand up, Monitor
For sure.
Merrimack. Y'all heard that story before.
Hampton Roads, y'all know
Hampton
what's
Roads.
up. So what happens now is in history, this pisses the South. Nothing to do with slaves yet, y'all. The Civil War was not about slavery. I'm sorry. It had nothing to do with slaves at all. It was about the labor force that the North wanted and the labor force that the South had. In fact, when Lincoln had read the Emancipation Proclamation, about 7 to 8 northern states still had slavery 5 years after he read it. Still existed. Yeah. This is what invoked Harriet Tubman to free her people from Maryland. She only went for Maryland. She didn't go nowhere else. She worked for Mr. John Brown, the sea captain. He needed bodies. And he was paying Harriet Tubman money on the back end. They found out about that shit and went whoop her ass. They don't tell you that story. But anyway, they blockaded the ships. The Civil War starts. The Negroes in Galveston, Texas don't hear about it because they didn't have email or their phone didn't work. I don't know. So this what was read to them. It says, the people are informed in accordance with the proclamation of the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. We can stop reading right there and celebrate Juneteenth if you want. We can stop reading. Watermelon and fried chicken and barbecue ribs and potato salad and everything that Dr. Inky was talking about to give y'all diabetes. We can eat it all up. Kool-Aid with 2 pounds of sugar in it, everything. That's your Juneteenth. But let's keep reading because Negroes took off running at that point. We reached and they ran. They did not know that the Fugitive Act had already been invoked. They did not know if you were caught under what's called the vagrancy laws. And the vagrancy law said this: if you were caught after sundown and you was a Negro and you did not have $1 in your pocket, you would go to jail. I grew up in Georgia. Our grandparents made sure that we kept change in our pockets at all times. Never knew why. Because they figured if you didn't have $1 in your pocket, you were unemployed and you was a vagrant. So this involves an absolute equality of personal rights. Jim Crow, 1865, Jim Crow. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights. They're talking to the white folks. I prove my case. And the rights of property. This is the Negroes, not the houses, not the cattle, and no, the property, the chattel property. What they should have said, the property. And it says between former master and slave, two different people. The connection herefore existing between them becomes what? That between employer and hired labor. Stop saying, I got to go to plantation, go to work today. Got to work for the white man, work for master. No, you are. That's hold on.
The chattel property is the livestock.
No, people were chattel property. People,
which was the livestock.
Right.
Yeah, stock that's alive.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the origin. And that's the origin of Wall Street, which is livestock in bondage, stocks in bondage.
Teach Muhammad.
Teach Muhammad.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Now watch this. Here's Inky, the free man. It said the freed, it's you, Inky, are advised to remain in your home and work for wages.
Damn.
Yeah. Because see, our people today think that the money they get is income. That's not income. Income is money that's generated when you don't work. A wage is what you're compensated for your time. But every year around this time, we take our wages and we claim it as income and it becomes taxable. Wages are not taxable. Income is taxable. So stop claiming your wages as income and they won't take it from you. Anyway, they are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and they will not be supported in their idleness as vagrancy. All right. So what we just read was showing you that the condition of slavery never changed. The language changed. They continued on the plantation. They stayed there. Slavery never ended. They just changed the wordplay. Like Inky said earlier, the 3-card Monty with the Reconstruction era. This is part of reconstructing, not constructing, reconstructing. They weren't building nothing. They didn't build shit. They didn't build not one building. Not one. They were reconstructing different policies and attitudes toward Negroes. And this is part of it. This is General Order number 3. This is what gives you Juneteenth. As you can see, you were not free during Juneteenth. June 19th, 1865, the condition changed from slave to employee or hired labor. Hired labor.
Hey.
That's what that was about. All right. Now,
the Constitution still say, look, slavery has been abolished except for the convicted felon. So you know they still popping it and still going on. They put that thing coded in there.
Right. But then the felons came under the 13th and 14th Amendment, which became a corporate person, a fictitious person that we claim to be. A person is a corporation or a corpse. How do we get to Jim Crow? How do we go through the black codes and the pseudo-Republican parties and laws against Negroes to end up at the Jim Crow? At the end of the Reconstruction, racial segregation laws were enacted. I just gave you a couple of them. These laws became popularly known as Jim Crow laws. They remained in force, not N-E-N, but I-N, force from the end of the Reconstruction in 1877 until 1965, which gives you integration. The laws mandated racial segregation as policy in all public facilities in the southern states. Not that it was that way. It always has been that way. Negroes in the South we always have had our own stuff. We always had our own juke joints. We always had our own airports. Don't get too excited about Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was Tulsa, Oklahomas everywhere. North Carolina, up in Chicago, everywhere. The founder of Chicago is a Negro, or Illinois, is a Negro. Chicago, not Illinois. It's the Illinois tribe. But we had so much stuff going on all over the planet. It was more economically sound for lobbyists to have Negroes bring their black dollars into the white community. Now, of course, the whites fought tooth and nail. Like, we don't want them over here with us. The only reason, watch this, pay attention to the years. 1865, watch this, eugenics.
Well, brother, before you get too far on eugenics, I wanted to go back to the 13th Amendment, if I could.
Please.
Where it says, because, he brought up going to jail. What did he say, going to jail? Let's see, can we pull up the 13th Amendment? 13th.
Yeah, slavery has been abolished except for the convicted felon. So if we look at livestock and bondage being the foundation for Wall Street, which basically allows the people that owns the businesses to hide and do business in secret. So you never know who those people are. You could blame the president of the company, but you're never going to know who the shareholders are. They in secret, you know what I'm saying? They just break the bread down. But those same corporations are the ones now that get to use the prison labor force to do the quote unquote prison labor. And I guess to M.O.I.'s point, I got to play devil's advocate, because even though the felon is listed today as an active slave and they use slave labor, they do get paid. Even though they only get paid like 7 cents or 13 cents an hour to
slave wages. It's called slave wages.
They are getting paid, though. They are getting paid in their slave state. You know what I'm saying? So it is something that we have to really dig into. But I do want to add this. I don't want to let us get off of Mississippi and not go to the mound builders of Mississippi, because, Mississippi started with mound builders. Or at least back in the 1800s. They go back to the, let me see what the name of these people is. Hold on for a second. You got a guy named Joseph Davis. Mound Bayou. There you go. Mound Bayou is where they trace a lot of that Mississippi, because he brought up the Haitian brother that started Chicago, but it was also some black folks that started, down there. Mound Bayou, if y'all look it up, you'll see some black folks associated with, early Mississippi. So yeah. Go ahead, Crump. Go ahead. I can talk forever.
I know we honed in on slavery and we also honed in on the convicted, but I also want to hone in really quickly, just for a second, nor involuntary servitude. Family, y'all better tap in. Don't read one. What did M.O.I say? Don't read just one part. You got to read the whole thing. So when you talk about involuntary servitude, they're likening involuntary servitude to slavery. A lot of people, oh, slavery, that was us. That wasn't us. That was them.
Yeah,
we weren't the slaves. They were the slaves. But when you called them slaves, you called them indentured servants. But a lot of your white slaves, they were children. Look at this picture. Those are kids. Women and kids. Okay, here. There's a book called Immigrants in Chains, the social history of forced immigration to the Americas. Forced immigration. That's what they say for you, right? In the Americas, felons, because that's what Inky said as well. They always made felons slaves. Destitute, that's what M.O.I said, your vagrancy laws. Children.
Yeah, well, no. It comes together because the laws that M.O.I was breaking down was specifically designed to put these people back into this forced working or slavery or indentures or whatever you call it, but it was designed to get them back into pocket. And there's a movie that people might not know is talking about this, but it's talking about the other side of it. It's Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York, it shows how these kids was escaping that, and that's how they kind of banded together and started the Irish gangs. And the early gangs in New York was people that didn't want to participate.
Let me back up and lead to that, because Inky is all wise, right, and exact. This is why the Moors tell you, oh, I've been kidnapped by the cops. Why do Moors, when they get so-called arrested, they won't say arrested, they say kidnapped? Go back to the whole slavery things. Those were white children. Go back to the slavery thing. Y'all always show pictures of us. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, but why don't y'all show these pictures either? They had their babies out there. Oh, that was us. That was them. But I'm sorry. I yield.
No. You found it. Now, speaking in truth, family, when you see pictures of people like that in the cotton field, they were just at work, y'all. I keep saying it. If I drive past Home Depot tomorrow or wherever y'all work at, take a picture of y'all and put it in a black and white and make it look scraggly and show it 25 years from now and call you a slave, that's what it's going to look like. Y'all was just working. It was just at work working. Those white babies in the field, those black babies in the field, they probably was on the same goddamn plantation, for real, because they were sharecroppers.
Well, let me just add value to what you were saying, because when you read General Order number 3, you were referring to the whole wage thing. So when we talk about slavery and children, that's why we had to enact child labor laws. I can't enslave my baby no. Well, it's not a slavery, it's working. All right, well, child, you can't work my baby no more. Tomato, take my baby out of slavery. I yield.
I think the legal age in Georgia is like 10 or 11 to work.
Stop it!
No, it's real shit. Now, keeping in tangent with the spirit of the conversation Dr. Inge brought up, I want to go back to 13th Amendment and talk about civil mortuus. Civil mortuus is the loss of all or almost civil rights by a person due to a conviction for a felon or due to an act by government of a country that results in a loss of rights. This is what Negroes are dealing with. You're under what's called civil mortuus, right?
I just want to shout out Todd Tariq Bey, because he used to say civil little mortuus 1,000 times a day. So shout out to Todd
Civil mortuus. Civil mortuus started in Europe. It didn't start here. It started in Europe because they would bound serfs. I don't have time to get into it tonight, but serfs and slaves and servants are the same people. Serfs had a loss of civil rights, and they were bound to the manor.
Come on.
Okay. Under a loss of civil death. This is why all the Negroes or Negro leader guys, as Tariq Bey say, all the Negro leader guys are going after Civil Rights Act, civil this, civil that, due to the fact that they had a loss of civil rights. Now, going back to this real quick, we'll talk about the 13th Amendment and 14th Amendment. that created a artificial person, which is called a corpse. This is what a corporation is. Inky was talking about the guys on Wall Street. No, you guys are all walking corporations. If any of you have received any mail, okay,
all
and your name is one thing. I can't find my name on here real quick, but
look, it's all cap.
If your name is in all capital letters and you answer to that, you're answering as the corporation. And a corporation is an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of the state or nation, composed in some rare instance of a single person. They're telling you this is artificial. This is artificial. This is pseudo being incumbent of a particular audience or ordinarily consisting of an association of numerous individuals whose substance as a body politics under a special denomination. So they're basically telling you this is a pseudo person. This is a fake person known as a corporation.
Do y'all remember when Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama? Well, during that time, because I don't even follow politics, but the Obama thing was kind of big, so we were kind of paying attention because of that. You know, I wasn't doing it because of more science and nothing else, but I do recollect back to the time. This is October 11th, 2011. Mitt Romney says corporations are people.
Okay, hold on.
He got a lot of heat for that, but he was telling.
Hold on, when you put Mitt Romney up there, I just got to add to that because Mitt Romney, for y'all people that think y'all in the music business and y'all studying music and all that, if y'all don't know Mitt Romney, then that means y'all don't know what y'all think y'all know about music. But Mitt Romney is like the owner of, I'm not sure if he still is, but for a time period, Mitt Romney was damn near the owner of music in America because he was the owner, the majority owner, I believe, of Clear Channel. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all don't know what Clear Channel is, y'all got to look up Clear Channel. But that's one of the reasons why they was jumping on Mitt Romney, because they was like, it's not fair for somebody to run for public office that literally owns radio.
Wow.
Like, so, and this is where in the mystery schools bleeds into, you guys don't understand, but Aleister Crowley family and them, they was into politics, and this is kind of where the mystery schools bleed into politics, because they believe that if a person does not have a soul or a spirit, that person is equal to what's called a golem. And a golem is basically a creature of dirt from the ground that was created with words, but doesn't have a soul or spirit of his own yet. So you could do anything to those people. You could put them in slavery and bondage, rape them, do all kind of weird, whatever you want to do to them, because they're not real humans. They haven't cultivated a soul or spirit. And so when you're looking at these laws, which say that a person or people can be corporations, which is not a real living, like this is just another way for them to put that into law. And you got to remember, we started off with maybe the most powerful statement of this whole video, M.O.I. We got to give credit where credit's due, but M.O.I. broke that down. Canon law. If y'all don't walk away with nothing else, y'all got to rewind this and listen to what M.O.I. said about canon law, because that is the precursor for everything we see in terms of wars, economic structure, social structure. Everything is based on that premise. It comes from that canon law program. So there's a lot of, So we got to turn the mic back over to M.O.I.
We got to turn the mic back to M.O.I. I just want to say this. You said the occult mixing with the political. That's George Bush mama right there, and beside her is her daddy, Aleister Crowley. I'm gonna give it back to M.O.I. I just want to kind of.
Oh my goodness! Hold on.
Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. You heard?
Damn. Wait a minute. Alex, that's what? Barbara Bush?
George Bush mama is And hold on. You be like, Crumb, that's crazy. That's crazy. Hold on. If you put a George Bush mama, GEOR, George Bush mama kept dead body of baby in a jar.
Stop it. Come on now. You're going too far, Crumb. You didn't win.
I heard
Let me get the bomb ready, because if you could prove this, the bomb got to explode, damn it. Where's the bomb at?
Hold on. Let me go to all. Barbara Bush showed fetus in a jar after miscarriage.
What?
The whole family tell the story. She be keeping the family. Y'all want to mix political with the occult? We don't have time for that today. We're going to do it on another video. I didn't want to digress. M.O.I, please, what you were saying.
Yeah. Take us back to this.
Finish my point right quick so we can get out of here. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right. So this is the meat and potatoes of the whole evening, y'all. We took y'all around the whole goddamn block.
Right.
It's Inky fault. It's his fault.
Hey, look, we got 300 in the building, so they like this shit.
Mitochondria, DNA, and fluoroplast and chloroplast and the filaments of the skin and all that shit. It's his fault. Goddamn. But this happened February 27th. The article reads, this year it was released. It says Jim Crow is resurrected in Mississippi. Another article released by ABC says bill to change Jackson judge looks like Jim Crow Mississippi lawmakers. This is on the 23rd. So this is prior to the 27th. Okay. The Republican-led Mississippi State House Representative passed a bill February the 7th that they did it during Black History Month. So damn disrespectful. So disrespectful. That would form a court system of unelected judges, prosecutors to preside over a part of the capital city of Jackson and expand the Capitol Police Force, a move that is drawing the eye of civil rights group. Several elected officials, including state Republican Robert L. Johnson III, the Mississippi House Minority Leader, have sounded off against the bill, contending that it will remove the voice of the city resident, the majority whom are Black. That's the 23rd, the 27th. Earlier this month, White Representative Mississippi House bill created a new district. They created a new district that include all of the majority white neighborhoods in Jackson. Hold on, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear that commercial?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. It said earlier this month, White Representative in Mississippi House approved the bill. So it's been approved already. A new district that includes all the majority white neighborhoods in Jackson, a capital city that is 83% Black. This includes creating criminal justice, jurisprudence, civil district overseeing all white power bases. It's called House Bill 1020.
Damn. KRS
Let's
One
say
right in
you
there. Overseer. Officer. Hey, you know what's crazy though is, and I guess I don't want to try to connect dots where there's no connections, but I just want to put this out there and let the people deal with it quietly. And I've been saying this since the summertime. You know, Mississippi and Puerto Rico. You know, while people is out there, all these blind Democrats, they don't realize they part of the dumb, deaf, and blind. These Democrats that voted for Joe Biden, aka Watergate Joe, aka Richard Nixon right hand man, aka 1993 crime bill Biden, aka the voice of the DuPont family. But he didn't do nothing to help out Puerto Rico when they was going through their water crisis, and Mississippi been going through a water crisis since the summertime. So it's crazy how they've been going through this water crisis since August, and I guess the Democrats didn't see you know, they didn't see a benefit to publicizing the fact that they people ain't got no water down there, and it's 100 damn degrees out throughout the summer. It's 100 degrees out there. They ain't got no water, but now they publicizing this issue. So these two things might be connected, because I'm sure that this new district, they gonna have water. I'm sure they gonna have water, where the rest of Mississippi still, about Jackson anyways, specifically in the surrounding areas to this place, it's still struggling right now. They still struggling with drinking water and all that stuff. So, you know, that's how they manipulate people into desperation votes, or accepting whatever is offered on the table if it looks like it'll give them respite from something else. So a lot of the people there might have been pushed into one thing thinking that it would give them relief from the other. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but they struggling down there for water.
Crumb, what say ye to this newly zoned all white, red line, Jim Crow segregated Mississippi? First of all, the shit already happened. So let's be clear about that. And then the civil rights can do about the fuck. I mean, like, come on. Making it Mississippi only jurisdiction where, according to the ACLU, unelected judges and prosecutors have jurisdiction over criminal and civil law matters, although 12% of their sales tax will be redirected to help pay for it all. So they're going to create a section of the city where everybody white, the lawmakers, the police, the judges. If you bring your black ass in our court, you're gonna get the full arm of the law, and we're gonna put you back into a form of servitude by making you a felon. And I'm pretty sure, because they're gonna rewrite their laws, which means the laws are gonna be, this is serious shit. I mean, the laws are gonna be skewed to help them. And then it
that
says,
is an interesting name of the mayor, though. Who is that mayor? Where's that mayor from? What's his family?
It scripts the right of black folks to vote. Dr. King, go get him out the casket. Somebody, please. Tell him that shit didn't work. Respectfully, go wake up Dr. King and tell him that listen, all that work you did, Dr. King.
Wait a minute, hold on now. I got to argue with you, M.O.I. Maybe it did work. That's why he got that award from Planned Parenthood. Oh shit! Oh my goodness!
That's fucking crazy. So, listen, family, we got to get to wrap it up. And I do apologize that we didn't have more time to dive into this, because it's probably a fucking 3-day lecture for real. But what I do want to do though, and I'm not sure if the good brother Crom is hold on, I'm stalling because I got to find something first, y'all. So just bear with me for a second. But anyway, we need
while you looking to pull that up, let me ask you a question and Crom a question. Let's play the alternative universe game. Since this bill, or these bills, because it's HB 1020 and then it's SB 2889, they kind of drop them together. Do you think that these bills, I want to word it properly, could these bills kind of lay the framework for Black and brown and Latino empowerment? Like if white folks are putting it on wax, right? Like, listen, man, we getting ready to build our own program over here, and we getting ready to build up, have our own police, judges, whatever. Is that now a precursor that we could use that same 1020 and 2889 and put our program together?
No.
What you think?
Them Latinos ain't studying us. Black people got to start with that savior mentality.
No. I'm saying individually. I'm saying individually, because there's, they come in and do their own thing. So I'm saying, can we now say the same way with the same paperwork as they're using to create their city and say, listen, it's going to be white, by whites, for whites, FUBU, but just not us. For whites, by whites. Can we now use that same paperwork?
No.
And go, all right, well, we're going to put our city right here. We're going to build up and hire our judges and put our police into play.
Been there, done that. Just like the brother we had on here, Rouser the Moore, said, we need an army or a force to protect it. And we don't have that. We don't have an army or a force to protect anything we put up right now. So go put up 2, 3 more Black Wall Streets. You don't have an army or a force to protect that situation. No, they're gonna come and do what they did to all of them. Come burn that shit down, and then we're gonna be out there marching and throwing fits. And then when you organize a march, you gotta be off the street by 7 o'clock. You ain't never seen a march because it violates the city ordinance. So to answer your question, no, ain't gonna happen. And I want to close this right here, y'all.
Oh, wait. Let's see what Crumb says.
I gotta go.
I say let's close it out.
Go. Before I get out of here, if you want to hear more of this information, be sure to tap in. Be sure to tap in. In Atlanta, Georgia. Is going down. For more information, please hit up Crumb. I don't have your email on my banner. You mind put your email up there real quick?
Oh, wow. That's going to be incredible.
Check it out. Make sure you go to Crumb. I think it's crumtv.info. There it is right there. Hit that link. Y'all are the first ones to hear about it tonight. We ain't even put it out yet on social media. Y'all are the first ones to hear about it. We ain't put it out to nobody yet. If you want to hear more powerful, packed information like this, hit that link. Get the tickets. It's going down June 17th this year in Atlanta, Georgia. I had to drop that before I get out of here real quick, man. Peace and love. It's all love. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with us tonight. This has been another awesome installation by Crumb TV Network. We everywhere. We live all the time. Be sure to tap in, get those tickets. See y'all.